Happy December 1st. Oh my gosh, it's December.
Only 24 days till Christmas.
30 days till 2021, right? I mean, 31 days. That's crazy. Honestly, it feels like this year went by really fast, even though it was really slow. I'm like, wait, is it over? Whenever I say 6 months ago, I mean like a year and a half ago. And I'm like, wait, 6 months ago was literally like this summer. Or I'm like, what? All right, so I just copied it over here so that I can work through it. So what do you always do if you don't know what to do? What do you always know that you do first? Set up the equation. What if you, like, what? Yes, you write down what was given first, like even if you don't know anything else, right? So what was given? Okay, so we got 4.7 moles, and then which one of those was aluminum oxide? Right, aluminum and then oxygen, right? That would be aluminum oxide. So that's what we're starting with, right? Generally, you multiply and set up a fraction, and so I would do that, like, I don't know, okay? And then you put what you want to get to on top and what you want to cancel out on bottom. What are we trying to get to? Moles of aluminum, and we've got this, right? So let me make this smaller here. We're starting with this, and we're trying to get to that, right? So we can use this recipe, right, to figure out the equation. Because when you have 2 moles of aluminum oxide, you get 4 moles of aluminum. So when you have 4.7, we would expect it to be like about, 4.7 times something, right? It's going to be, if you start with 2 and you get 4, then if you had 4, you probably get about 8, right? You're kind of expecting it to be something close to that. So we're going to put in our relationship here. What do we put on top? Yes, you put what you're trying to get to. So moles of aluminum. What do we have to put on bottom? Yeah, what you have, because you want it to cancel out. So we haven't put in any numbers yet, but now we know, okay, I need to find a relationship between moles of aluminum and moles of aluminum oxide. And when you have a mole to mole thing, you can look at the equation, okay? So when you have a mole to mole fraction, you look at the equation, okay? So now we're just going to put in the numbers. So what numbers are we going to put in? 4 and 2, okay? Does that make sense? So it's essentially going to be 4.7 times 2, right? Because 4.7 times 4 over 2, right? So what number did you guys get? 9.4 moles of aluminum is the correct final answer for that. And you would write it all out like that, okay? Awesome. Okay, let's do one more example here. I'm going to just copy it over. Wow, this formatting is kind of weird. Okay, I'll copy this one over. All right, and I'll give you all a minute. So with that equation in mind, that says Ag2S, how many grams of water is produced by the reaction of 240 grams of silver with hydrogen and oxygen? And then answer to one number. You don't have to do that, okay? So this is the question right here. You know what you need to do first, right? In what unit, what do y'all notice? What unit are we starting with here? Grams, not moles. So we've got to get to moles first and then do the mole ratio. We can't do the mole ratio right now until we convert to grams. So hopefully you look at your notes. We did ones like this yesterday. So see the common factor of what you did. It'll be the same thing every time. Okay, I'll give y'all a minute to work through that. So what I highlighted is the pertinent information, right? This is just extra stuff. It's just describing the reaction in case you had to write it out, right? So don't let that throw you off. It's not asking for that. So you use the molar mass of silver to get to moles. So you would do the 240 divided by that, right? 400. Did you multiply it times 4? Okay, you wouldn't do that. Yeah, you wouldn't do that. So hopefully you wrote down what you started with, right? Yeah, 240 grams of silver is what we're starting with. Okay, so here's the deal. We are in units of grams. So here, I want you guys to become familiar. When you start with grams to get to moles, what do you do to get to moles? You divide by the molar mass. So if you were stuck, you need to write down grams to moles, right? So when you start with grams and you have to get to moles, every single time, the only thing you have to do is divide by the molar mass of that thing, right? So what is the molar mass of silver? Ooh, you got a different silver. Okay, it's okay, okay. So 107.87. Okay, we'll do that. So on the top you say 1 mole, because that is how much it takes to get to 1 mole. Okay, so these are the units you should also have. See how your grams will cancel out because grams are here and grams are here. Okay, so now we have moles. Now we can do what we did up here, right? Because now we've got moles of silver. So what are we going to do now? We've got moles of silver. Any questions about what I just did? Divide by the mole. Not yet. Not yet, okay? So now we're going to do the mole ratio because when you have moles, you can do the mole ratio, right? What are we trying to get to? What compound? Water, right? So we can't get to grams of water in one step, but we're going to get to moles of water first, right? So we want to get to water. So what's going to be on top? Moles of water. What's going to be on bottom? Look at what we need to cancel out. Y'all see how we need moles of silver to cancel out? Are y'all following that? Okay. So now we put in the numbers because when you have mole to mole, like I said, when you have mole to mole, you can do the numbers from up here, right? So we've got 2 moles of water and 4 moles of silver, right? From here and here, we've got 2 and 4, okay? So now everything is canceled out. If we were to calculate it right now, what unit would we have? What would our final unit be? Moles of water. It asked for grams of water. So we have one more step. So when you go from grams to moles, you divide by molar mass. When you go from moles to grams, guess what you're going to do? Multiply by it. It's going to be on top. So we need the molar mass of water, right? And 1 mole is going to be on bottom. So what is the molar mass of water? 18. You should get 18.02. H is 1, O is 16, and there's 2 of them. So it's going to be about 18. Technically, it's 18.02. It's okay. All right. So this is an example of one of the longer types that you can do. All you have to do is understand, okay, when I go from grams to moles, I divide. When I have moles, I can use the mole to mole ratio from the equation. When I go from moles to grams, I multiply. Okay, and this is the longest problem you could have. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions on that? We're going to go through a little bit. Actually, it's just right here. Hold on. We're going to go through a little bit more of the slides, and then we'll just practice today. Y'all work through problems. Okay. Do y'all remember where we left off? Because everyone was different. Which one did we do? Well, thankfully, hopefully you have your notes, right? I think we did this one. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we finished this one, right? Okay. We're going to start on this slide. This is a little mole map. This is what I said, like what we literally just kind of derived on our own, right? So this is kind of like a pathway. You can start anywhere on this path, but you will always use the circled one. You will always use mole to mole ratio with stoichiometry. Okay. So like when you start with grams and you go to moles, remember you divide by grams, you divide by the molar mass, right? And when you start with moles and you want to get to moles of something else, you use the mole to mole ratio. And when you're trying to get to grams, grams goes on top, right? So it's just showing you a general map if this will help you. You may not start at the beginning of this pathway. You have to identify where you're starting. Okay, so you can write this map down if that would help you.